Hello, hello, welcome back to Peanut Butter Neya time. Okay, so the other day I realized whilst there is all this Taylor Swift drama and excitement about her concerts right now, so essentially everybody is failing to get tickets to Taylor Swift. It's very tragic. She's having quite a lot of concerts in North America and then she's doing an international tour, but only going to limited places and then doing like four or five or three concerts in each place. I have opted to not see Taylor Swift because I have seen her twice before. And I felt like, I guess, one, I'm not going to really put the effort in to go a second time because it seems very stressful and competitive. And I was like, I don't know, just seems a bit too much. And the likelihood of like getting tickets is very low. And then the second reason is I'm like, make space for others. There's so many other millions of people who haven't seen her before. And I've had the privilege of seeing her twice. And she's an amazing performer. So if you guys haven't been, I would highly recommend going to see Taylor. I'm a day oneer. I went to Fearless tour, went to 1989. She is a vibe. She just gives good energy. And all her songs are like bangers. Like you just like pretty much will never have a bad time. Okay. But anyway, because Taylor Swift has the love story song, which is like, marry me, Juliet, you never have to be alone. I love you, and that's all okay, I should have stopped after Marry Me, but honestly, that song is just too easy to sing. Okay, so because Love Story is such a great song and legendary, a lot of people have been proposing at Taylor Swift concerts, which is kind of crazy. And I also don't know how I feel about that because I have opinions on it, which I will share with you later. But yeah, so wild. But thinking about this, I realized I've never told you guys actually my proposal story and how this ring happened to be on my finger. So I think it's quite an interesting story. So fun, very love filled, and very Alex and I. So yeah, I want to tell you guys about it, and then also give my takeaways of proposals from my experience. So Alex and I have been together for 5.5 years now. But coming up to the proposal, when it happened in December 2022, the 13th to be specific. And we had at that point been together for just under 5 years, like literally 4 years and 10 months. So I feel like it was kind of time. Honestly, I feel like Alex and I felt like we were going to get married to each other within a year of each other, or knowing each other, slash maybe even 6 months. But it was more like, let this relationship grow and let's just see, like, are we really for each other? Because we we're also pretty young. Like when we met, we were only 22 and 23, so it's so much left to live. But I think it was awesome to not have the pressure of, like, I guess meeting when we were maybe 29 or like 30 or 32. Like we could give it a bit more time to grow, as we were also going through our formative years. So um, yeah, I think the timing in which we got engaged was like pretty good. It was so funny though, because my dad, like after I had met Alex, I think we went on a family holiday together. My dad was like to me, Tania, I bet you $1,000 Alex is going to propose in 6 months. And I was like, you are crazy. Like there's just no way. But I just think, guess it goes to show how in love we were at the time and still are. Boom. Anyway, so yes, about 4 years, just over almost 5 years when we got engaged, which I feel like you could do it around 4 years, but give or take, it's fine. So leading up to the proposal, I honestly, like, we had already spoken about how we were going to get married, and like I knew we would get engaged at some point. And honestly, I thought it was going to happen in 2023. And I wasn't like stressed about it or really like pushing him at all. Um, I think it did start to play in my mind more towards the end of 2022 in a way. Like I was like, wonder if he is planning anything or is thinking about it, because he was being very nonchalant, very like um aloof about it. I would say. But we actually went to look at rings 2 years before we got engaged. And that was like, I don't think I ever thought, oh, he's looking for rings. It's going to happen like tomorrow or in a few months. I just, the way that we went about it was very casual. Like we were in New Zealand, in Auckland, and I think we were stuck there we may have been stuck there for COVID or something for a few weeks. And he was like, oh, let's go look. at rings at this place. Like I had a look at the jeweler's quite nice. Like, why don't you just go try it on to see what shape you like? Which, let's just take a pause here. I think you should really do this with your partner. Do not let them go into it blindly. People like, I literally spoke to a colleague the other day and he was like, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to propose to my girlfriend soon. And I was like, okay, have you got the ring yet? And he was like, no. And I was like, do you know what she likes? And he was like, no. And I was like, are you going to ask her? He was like, no. I was like, are you sure about that? That's a lot of money to spend, like however big or small it is that you're buying the diamond on something that she might not like. I was like, why would you not just take her in some way to go look at a ring? And he's like, oh, but it'll give it away. I'm like, but you could like get her friend to do like a casual day where they go and look at rings. You know what I mean? Anyway, whatever it is, guys, gals out there, if you're getting a ring or like you're proposing to your mans, please just check that they want what you're going to get them. Nothing worse than buying something that people don't want or don't use, especially something for an engagement. So we went into this jewelry store and I tried on a whole lot of these designs that the guy who's like, oh, let's try on these designs first. And Alex later told me that actually Alex had chosen all of these designs thinking that I would like them. And I tried them all and I didn't like any of them. So that just goes to show, back to my point before, take your girlfriend or take your boyfriend, whoever it is, take your partner to go and look at whatever you're going to buy them and make sure that they like that. Because if they don't, there's a high likelihood that they don't. Okay, you might think you know what they like, but you don't. It's very personal. So I ended up choosing an oval. I really liked an oval cut. And I really didn't really mind about the size. I think like with my hands being quite long, I was like maybe like a 2 carat, but honestly it's fine for 1.5. Like really not bothered. And to preface this, I was not a big diamond person. Like I never dreamt of like my engagement ring and what it would look like and all this stuff. I've just kind of never really had that big of an interest in it. But I mean, even to this day, I couldn't tell you like the VVS, blah, 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 all the details and like that. I just know what my diamond is. Anyway, it's not a big deal. So yeah, we looked 2 years prior to actually getting engaged. So after that, I kind of just like let Alex do his thing. And I remember one time we had a conversation and I think I had asked him once, like, oh, like, what are you planning anything? Like, what are you doing? And he had said to me, you should just like chill and not worry about this because you already know we're going to get engaged. So don't ruin the surprise for yourself. Like, just let it happen. And actually, it was very good for Alex to say that to me because I think from that point onwards, I was like, yeah, you know what? I am not going to pry. I'm going to let this happen at any time. And I'm just going to stop worrying about it because not that I was worried, but like I wouldn't ask about it and be nosy because he was right. Like I should just let the moment happen when it happens and not. I feel like you kind of ruin the moment if you get too spy and like trying to figure it out. Just let the dudes do what they got to do, you know? Or yeah. Either way, whatever relationship you're in. So then I literally forgot about it. And then Alex moved country, and when he moved to this new job, he became very like ad hoc. So I became very used to him being very like, oh, this weekend I'm going to fly to Vietnam for this, and I'm going to come to Hong Kong on this date. Like just very last minute with everything, very spontaneous, impulsive, last minute planning. I feel like that's the nature of his job. So I was like, that's fine. Got really used to that. So we actually was supposed to go to New Zealand, and we were trying to get like my parents and my sister also to come to New Zealand, do a family trip. But then anyway, it ended up being a bit too expensive because of COVID. Like COVID kind of ended in quotation marks in like end of 2022. But that was the first time everyone was able to travel again. And so the flights have just been so expensive. So it was just crazy to fly from like the US to New Zealand. So we were like, let us just not do that. So yeah, my family didn't go to New Zealand, but then we were like, hey, it's fine. Let's just go to New Zealand still. In early December, and then after that we'll go to Australia for Christmas. So we flew into New Zealand. I flew separately first. I was there for like 2 days, and then Alex arrived in Auckland, and he was still in his like chaotic vibes with his work and just like kind of being all over the place. And I was like, okay, I'm just like used to him being like that, which is a positive, I think, for the situation and the proposal. Anyway, so then what happened? Yes. So he arrived, and then 2 days in, he was like, oh, that's right. We hadn't planned anything like major to do when we were in New Zealand, and usually we would plan things. But he was like, let's just see how we feel and like what our vibe is and if we want to do a short trip somewhere. And so I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then when he came, he was like, oh, the weather looks so good for 3 days in Queenstown. Like, why don't we go? I found really cheap flights. And I think I was just like in such a holiday mood. I didn't even pick up on like, oh, really cheap flights because like no flights were cheap. But I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds cool. Like if you can get the flights, like go for it. Um, and then he had still been. Anyway, I was like, oh, did you get the flights? Like, have you booked the hotel? And he was like, he was playing it really well. He'd be like, oh, I just got a booking for this place. It's so exciting. Like, they didn't have any bookings, but someone cancelled. So I was able to like, they called me and let me know that they have a space. So we're going to stay there. It'll be really, really nice. I was like, okay, cool. So we left on I think we got there on the Monday. So Sunday night, we, when we were going to sleep, he was like, I'm so excited for Queenstown. I was like, okay, cool. Like we've been to Queenstown before. I don't know why you're so excited, but that's cute. And then the next morning, I woke up and he was like so awake and he was like, I'm so excited for our trip. Like, it's going to be so much fun. I just couldn't sleep last night. And I was like, I didn't even like, that wasn't even, I was so convinced he wouldn't get proposed in December that I just like didn't even think that was a sign. Also, for context, Alex had always said he would never propose in December or like around Christmas because it's too cliche. And so I honestly feel like he had this like 2-year plan of just like planting seeds in my head. And if you're going to propose to your other half, good idea, plant the seeds, because he hit a very long-term play, and I honestly feel like it really worked for him because I was so hoodwinked that I didn't even realize, because everything had made sense to his behavior. Very good. And so I was like, oh, that's nice that you're so excited. Good for you. Like you really need a break. So anyway, we flew to Queenstown. Got there, like picked up a car. We were staying at the Stone Ridge Estate, which was super nice. It's like I'll put a link below, but have a look at it. It's kind of like a little bit like the main area looks a little bit like Hobbiton vibes, not really, just like old like little chateau thing. And then it's got a vineyard, and then they have like really nice accommodation where you stay in a lodge with like a few other people. It was beautiful. So we stayed there, and then we went for lunch, and then I get really bad hay fever, but I honestly had forgotten about how bad my hay fever gets, because living in Hong Kong, I just don't really get affected by it because I feel like the air is so thick that the pollen just doesn't swirl. Whereas I had come from Melbourne just before Auckland, and I literally feel like I felt the pollen get stuck in my throat one day, and from then on I had like a week of just feeling quite low feeling a bit sick from the pollen. And so when we went to Queenstown, I already had a little bit of a sore throat, but I wasn't like anything major, and I had tested and I didn't have COVID. And so on that day, I got a bad hay fever again when we went to the second winery, and it was so tragic because like my eyes swell, my face swells, like it's the whole thing. And yeah, so then I started to feel like not very well. And I was very, very congested. So this was the Monday. And then he had been to me on like the Monday afternoon, like, oh, tomorrow we should go for a hike to Roy's Peak, which is like a 5-hour hike. Like, yeah, sure, sounds good. But like I was starting to really like crash and get really congested and feeling really unwell, like really runny nose, blowing my nose the whole time, like eyes were just leaking permanently. And he was like, okay. And then we were just hanging at the hotel, and he disappeared for like 20 minutes. And he was like, I'm just going to go sort out like the breakfast plans for tomorrow morning before we go on the hike. And I was like, okay, sure. Alex loves planning, so it's also very into his character that he goes and does this stuff. I was like, okay, sure. And then he came back, and he was like, oh, cool. Actually, I spoke to them, and they were telling me that there's this like super nice like lookout spot that's really great for like early morning photos. Like, why don't we go in there and take photos before we go to Roy's Peak? And I was like, okay, like how early? And he was like, okay, let's wake up at 7. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like really feeling very unwell. But I just said like, okay, let's see how we feel. And for me, I felt bad because he'd organized it. So I was like, I want to do it because I want you like us to experience things, and we like to do things on holiday. So then I crashed at like 10 p.m, literally passed out. I was like, I'm going to sleep. I'm so tired. Passed out. And then we get to the next day, which is the proposal day. Okay, so just pausing for a peanut butter fact before we embark on the proposal story. Did you know that you can make diamonds out of peanut butter? So I was reading about this, and I'm going to link a video because the guy describes it a lot better than me, but essentially because peanut butter actually has a lot of carbon in it, and diamonds are like made from a lot of carbon. If you put peanut butter in a very high pressure in like environment, so they call it the stiletto effect, where they put peanut butter between the 2 points of diamonds. So they use the diamonds to help make more diamonds. And you put enough pressure and then also add heat, it converts into a diamond. Isn't that amazing? I should try doing that, but I also definitely don't have the lab or the equipment to create that diamond. But it gets pretty hot in Hong Kong sometimes. I can put pressure with those diamonds. Anyway, I will not be trying that at home, but it's a very cool fact. Okay, so going back to the story. So we come over to Tuesday morning. We wake up at 7 a.m. Literally, Alex jumps out of bed. And let's just say he's not a morning person. I am the one who usually jumps out of bed. He jumped out of bed, went to the blinds, and was like, literally opened them. And he was like, it's a beautiful day. And I was like, yes, you're very energetic. But I think at this point, I was feeling quite unwell. You know, when you're unwell and you wake up in the morning and it's like the worst time because your throat's really sore, like your nose is so blocked, your head is just like, it's very, very, it's a dark time when you wake up. Anyway, so I was like, oh my God, it's so bright. Please close the curtains. And he was like, come on, let's get ready. And he was putting on a nice shirt and pants. Once again, Tanae didn't realize because I was in my own world. Honestly, it was really good that I was so way more concerned about myself and like in this mode of just like, I'm feeling unwell. I do not feel well, because I was just in this mode of like being self-absorbed. I honestly didn't even pick up on all these cues. And had I been healthy, I would have known. Anyway, so he puts on this nice shirt and top, and I had packed like 2 dresses or 3 dresses. And actually it was really smart because before I packed in Hong Kong, I had called Alex and I was packing. I was like, oh, do you think I should take this dress or this dress? And he was like helping me pick my dresses. Very strategic, very smart. Anyway, so then I took 2 dresses with me. I was like, I can have an outfit change. And then I was just washing my face and brushing my teeth. And then Alex came in. He's like, oh, like, what about some light makeup? And I literally looked at him, and internally, in my mind, I literally said, you are really pushing it today. I was like, I just was so tired and feeling sick that I just didn't respond. I was like, But all I had with me was mascara and concealer. So I just put mascara and concealer on. Like, that was all that was going to happen. So then I think we left at like 7:45, drove out to this area. And then when we got there, it was near an area called Jack's Point, but it's like in a private property area. So you have to like walk up this little like hill to get there. So I was all dressed up, like wearing my sunglasses and my jacket because it was quite windy in the morning. So I walk up to the top of this mountain and I was like, this is nice visually for the eye, but I don't see how we're going to capture this with our iPhones. It was just like a really big lake and mountains, but the sun was very exposed and very bright. And I was like, okay, like, let's give it a try. And so then we stood there, and I was wearing my windbreaker and sunglasses. And Alex like, take the jacket off. And I was like, I don't want to take the jacket off. It's so windy and it's going to be really cold. I'm going to get more sick. And he was like, just take it off. Like, it'll be really good for the photo. Just took the jacket off. And then he was like, okay, take the sunglasses off. I was like, please don't make me take the sunglasses off. Like, the sun is glaring into my eyes. My soul is going to bleed. Please don't. I'm so dramatic, but that's how I felt at the time. Anyway, so I took the sunglasses off and I took some photos like standing there. And I also took some photos of Alex as well. And then the best thing was I decided to just be an idiot and like do an arabesque. And I was like, let me do an arabesque, like see if it looks cool. I'm not a ballet dancer. I don't know why I need to do an arabesque, but anyway, the things I do. So I did an arabesque and Alex took a video. And in hindsight, he was like, it's so funny because moments before this, before you got proposed to, you were like doing an arabesque. Anyway, so I did my arabesque, and then he came over to me and he hugged me, and I was like, that's nice. Anyway, so then he hugged me, but then his hug went like a bit too long. Oh, sorry. Before I get to this point, there was also a photographer there on the mountain, but Alex had literally told me, it's like a really local spot, and a lot of photographers go there and they take photos of landscapes. So like no one really knows about it. It's really local. So I saw the photographer and I came up and I thought, I literally thought, oh, I feel so bad. Like, this is a local photographer. They're probably going to think we're super annoying, like tourists coming up here and like imposing on this exclusive area that they probably love to treasure as like their own private area. Anyway, so that's what I was thinking, because I'm telling you guys, I was so convinced to Alex's story. my blinders was so I was like I was just blind. Like she was not she was not being spy at all. Anyway, so then yeah, he came over to hugged me for quite a long time, and I was like, this is nice, but now this hug is going a bit too long. And then his heart started beating so fast and hard, and I have never really felt his heart beat like that before. And I was like, oh. And then in one moment, I literally was like, in my mind, I was like, ding. I was like, oh my God. I was like, now in my mind, it was like all the dots connected in one time. Like it's so fast. It's funny how fast your mind can like think and put thoughts together. Anyway, so I was like, oh my God, it's now. And then he pulled away from me, and all I did, I looked at him and I just said, now. And he was like, now. And I was like, but I'm sick. And then he chuckled, and then his eyes were watering, and I started to black out. He told me he definitely blacked out. He started saying some words like, oh, we've been through so much, but then it started to sound like gibberish. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, don't worry. Like, no need to like, I don't know. I felt like in this situation, it was so overwhelming. And I was like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to like say too much. I know, like, because you already know, like, you know what they're doing. And then he knelt down and he popped open the box and was like, I'm holding the box. And he was like, will you marry me? And I was like, yes. I was so taken aback. And when he opened the box and he showed me the ring after I said yes, I was like, are you financially okay? And he was like, yeah. Because honestly, this ring is a lot larger than I would have ever envisioned or wanted. Because as I was saying, I'm not a huge diamond person. I didn't really have a desire for like a certain size. And I was looking and I was like, that is very flashy and large. But I've learnt to love it now. But we'll talk about that in a moment. So yeah, and then we embraced, and then the photographer came out and she was taking all these photos of us, and I was like so overwhelmed. I was blacking out, and I was like, it's so surreal, guys. Like when you get proposed to, it's so surreal. You can see the moment in like movies, on other people's posts and videos, or you can even watch somebody else's proposal in real life. But honestly, like the moment is so surreal and overwhelming. You like black out and you're just trying to remember the moment. You're like, take a mental picture, take a mental picture. And I've spoken to other friends about this, but they feel the same. Like it's just such a crazy moment. So yeah, then the photographer came out and she was like, let's take some photos. And I really liked that we took our photos there and then. And it was great that I had a second outfit, because we essentially did our pre-photos, like pre-wedding photos that they do a lot in Asia before, like at one go, like two birds, one stone. Very, very strategic. So yeah, we took some photos in this area, and then we drove to another area and took more photos it's like in Frankton area, which is kind of near Queenstown, a bit further out. And they had super nice lake, and the photos are absolutely stunning. We had a great photographer called Kate Alexandra. I will link her below, and she was super nice, super casual, like really made us feel like really comfortable. So good pick by Alex as well. But the whole time, like we were taking photos, we were both just chuckling and giggling and like feeling so shy, because it's so much to process at one time. Like, oh, you're engaged, and then now you got to take photos. I was like, it was just a lot. Yeah, so it honestly took me a while to like come to terms with the fact like it had just happened. I think it took me at least a week to really like process. But what I really loved was that we were in Queenstown with just the two of us, so we could really enjoy the moment, just the two of us, like alone for 2 more days before we flew back to Auckland and actually started telling like our families. So yeah, it was kind of funny that for a moment in the world, the only person that knew was the jeweler, Alex, the hotel, our photographer, and me and Alex and I. So it was really nice to just be able to cherish that, just the two of us for a little bit before we told people. But yeah, so two things on this. I'm just gonna pause. One, I really don't understand how people get engaged like in a public environment. So that's why, going back to this like Taylor Swift proposals, honestly, how are people doing it? Like, we were alone, just the two of us, with a photographer that was at least 100 meters away. And we were both like feeling super overwhelmed and blacking out and couldn't really speak. And we've been together for like 5 years. Oh, I don't know how people get engaged in a public environment. And after that moment, I realized, because I had a friend who used to always show me like proposal videos, and when people like ran away from proposals and they got proposed to in public. And I was like, oh my God, I get it now. Like, I can totally understand how someone would just run. Like, because it's really overwhelming and it's a lot to process. I would totally run if like I didn't want to be engaged to that person. It's far too overwhelming. So I'm really glad that Alex chose a private and intimate, just two people, and the photographer, because had we had more people, even like family, I just feel like I would have felt really overwhelmed, and I needed time to really process the moment that happened. The other thing was like it really is quite overwhelming because your fiance or your partner or whoever it is has already like thought about proposing to you. Like say if you're the one who proposes as well, like you've already thought about it and you've already when you bought the ring and you've done all that, like you've already accepted like I'm going to propose to this person. This is my forever person. And as much as I had as well, like being like, yeah, we're going to get engaged, like going to get married. Actually, like when the moment happens and the decision's made, you're like, whoa. You'd really need some time to just like process and be like, okay, I have a fiance, like I have someone I'm gonna marry. It's pretty crazy. So it took me like a week or more. No, I reckon it took me 2 weeks before I felt really comfortable saying my like fiance, or at least a month, because it just felt such a strange name. And Alex with Soto was like fiance, fiance, and I was like, I literally told him, I was like, you're gonna have to cool that down for a week because I need time to process. Like this is too much. Um, but yeah, once I came to terms with it, I feel like I was super happy and comfortable with it. But it does take a few months to settle in because it's such a big life moment. It's so exciting. Um, so yeah, after we got engaged, we had like a nice dinner. Oh, we went for our hikes. We went for our 5 hour hike and took the ring with us, and the whole time we were like, ooh, look at it. And making sure that we still had it on our finger, had it on my finger and didn't lose it. And then when we came back to the hotel, we had like a super nice dinner, and then we flew out to Queenstown the following day, I think. Yeah. So when we flew out that afternoon. We went back to Auckland, and then we told Alex's family first in Auckland, which was so nice. It was really like fun to finally tell people and like have the embrace and the moment. First engagement for Alex's family, and then we flew back to Melbourne and told my family once we got when we had breakfast the next day, and that was super nice. But it was really hard for me to not tell my family for like a week. It was about like 5-6 days, because we were telling like Alex's friends before we told my family, but I really didn't want to tell my family like via FaceTime. I really wanted to tell them in person and wait for that. And so it was so nice when I told my parents. They were so excited, and my sister was so excited. She was like, yeah, very, very happy. But it was very happy moments, really, really exciting. And yeah, that's the engagement story. What I would say as my takeaways from like engagements and proposals is it is so stressful for the dudes. Like I really do not feel sorry for like the guys or girls or whoever chooses to propose. Like it is no small feat. Like having to organize and plan, and even if you're not planning too much, or you're just picking the ring, but just like the moment itself, it's so overwhelming. So kudos to you guys. Like it's not easy. So if you are being proposed to, just have a little compassion and empathy for the efforts they go through. Secondly, make sure you go ring shopping with your partner, or like watch shopping, whatever you're doing, just go shopping and pick whatever it is. Like get an idea of what that person likes before you buy it, because it's such a big investment, and I really wouldn't want to see people waste their money on something that somebody else doesn't really want. Thirdly, I think a private and intimate proposal is best. That's just my view. I do really feel like a public proposal is so overwhelming. Like doing it at a Taylor Swift concert with maybe like 80,000 people, it just sounds like my worst nightmare, honestly. There's just too many people around, and then like, what do? Do you just keep enjoying the concert afterwards? I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot happening. It's a lot to process at one time. Taylor Swift and your proposal. It's a lot. And then lastly, make sure you get a photographer. I really think like capturing the real moment when it does happen is super nice. iPhones are great, and like I know taking the photos yourself is really nice, but I think if you can capture the real moment with a photographer, it's amazing. Really, really worth it. Anyway, that is the engagement story. Thank you for listening. I hope it was fun for you guys. But I will give you more chats about like wedding stuff and what we've been going through. Comment below, like if you have any content you want me to talk about in terms of like proposals, weddings, relationships. Lots to share. So give me your opinions, give me your experiences or your hopes and dreams. Would love to hear it. DM me on Super Chilean or at Peanut Butter Neya Time, or on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube at Neya. and give us a follow as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a good review. Thanks, guys. Bye.